the third instalment of ranking karting tracks across the UK and across the world. Now, I've got the first one outside of the UK, and it's actually right near where my grandparents are from, in Roquetas del Mar, in Almeria, in the south of Spain, in the region of Andalusia. So, I'm not been karting in Spain, probably since about 2011, I'd say. So a good 14 years or so. So I was out there for a week, visiting my aunties and also my grandmother. So I thought, you know what, I'll take my lid and take my GoPro. I'll film a YouTube video for the crack, why not? So I rocked up and I went with a girl called Maria, who's in the cart ahead of me, in number 15. Now, I didn't know her before this, but she knows my mum. She lived with my mum for a few months and basically trying to learn English, but I don't think her English, she's not very confident in English anyway. So I said, come along to the karting, because my aunties weren't having it because they're in their 60s. So talked her into it, so I didn't have to go alone. And here we are. So I forget the name of this lad who was working, but there was literally no other workers there, just him, no other customers or anything. Rocked up, paid cash straight away, and before you know it, we were out on track. So let me talk you through it a little bit. So as you can see, the tarmac already is completely different to what would be typical in the UK. A lot more of like a Spanish or even like American style tarmac. We can kind of see a lot of the grooves and stuff like that. So it starts off with a big back straight into this left hairpin. This is obviously my first ever out lap, and to be honest, I hadn't really looked at the track properly before going out. So it took me a lap or two to kind of learn it. Here I was lifting, and I realised, okay, that's not actually a bend, it's easily straight into a little tight right hairpin. And again, all this, it kind of looks like bends, but they're not really bends. It just goes into another left hairpin. And this, what really caught me out, to be honest, all the way, was how early the apex is. It's like, it brakes super early for it. And this is basically all straight into the last double left. So the lap in general, and this is all really high speed. Obviously this lap I'm going a bit steady because I haven't really learned it yet. But the lap is basically, so I think now is coming on to my best lap of this run. The lap is basically like 5 corners. So you've got, this is basically one corner, I'm counting as one corner, so double left apex sort of thing. The braking's a bit awkward because you've got to turn right before braking. So that makes it challenging, which is good. And then basically it's just another long straight into a right hairpin, which is this one here, even though you're deceived into thinking you got more corners. I'm kind of just nibbling the curbage. And then to a left hairpin, so this is turn 3 effectively, in my mind. As I say, it's super early, way earlier than you think. And every lap I was really bogged down out of here. And then 2 left-handers, so 5 corners, as I say. Now this first left-hander, in this number 8 kart, I was having to do a lift because I was understeering. But then later on, as you'll see, in the other kart, it was like quite easily flat. So as you can see, this is kind of where Maria was at. I think, to be fair to her, like the lap record, I want to say I got told was a 43. And I did a 47. So I was about 4 seconds off the lap record, which is massive. But you got to realise that I'm probably weighing here like 84, 85 kilo. And the lads who'll be going fastest will be like 50 kilo. And on top of that, we don't really know what the track conditions are at. Maria weighs probably like 50 kilo. And she started off on a 55, I want to say. And then I got her down to it. Well, I got her down to. She got down to like a 52. So we managed to take about 3 seconds off a lap time, session to session. I wish I'd filmed it because I talked her through it a little bit, like where I saw she was losing big time. And it was basically like those kind of chicanes that aren't really like corners. She was braking for all of those. So I was kind of like, right, those ones, you got to try to take flat out. And then don't launch it into the hairpin so hard, because she was like going in and then like super drifting. Right, so now I'll show the entirety of the second session. As I say, this kart was a little bit better. But in this session, as you'll see, I never really did a push lap. I think I did maybe 1 or 2 push laps. Whereas in the previous one, I kind of did a whole session of pushing. and I went a couple tenths faster in this one, in the number 4 kart. So when you see in a minute, when I come to the rankings, that'll have something to play. But yeah, so straight away, obviously, you see this is much better than my first lap of the previous session. Funnily enough, even though it looks kind of overcast, it's like 35 degrees. One of the days there, it got to 38 degrees whilst I was on a run in the city, which is brutal. But it's very, very warm out there. Just this day, for some reason, it was a bit cloudy. It wasn't very sunny. So probably the best day to go to the karting, actually, rather than it being blazing hot with the sun. But it'd still be about 33, 34 degrees, I think, if I remember correctly. And still, like, the tyres took a lap or two to come in, if I'm honest. And they felt very soft, like pinching it with my nail. Felt very, very soft. So I don't know if that's a reflection on the surface. But looking at the surface, it looks kind of abrasive. So I'd be surprised if that was because of that. I think maybe just the karts don't work the tyre very hard. Could be a number of things. So she saw there, just went by Maria, and I've kind of said to her, like, I'm giving her like the eye sign, going like, follow me, because I kind of wanted her to have a rough idea where to drive on track. But as you see, it's kind of like a bit difficult. It's easier to get someone who's a bit faster to improve, because I hope she doesn't watch this, because she might take offence. But someone who's a little bit more like beginner, novice. I don't want to say clueless, because that sounds kind of harsh, but clueless. They kind of, like, when you're talking them through it, it's so overwhelming for them because they just don't know what's going on. But I think this is like probably a big sign for my viewers who are kind of like in the karting world, maybe club level or car races, how easily you can beat your mates at karting just by understanding slow in, fast out, being smooth on the wheel, being smooth on the brakes, not locking up, but also not braking too soft. Yeah, I'm kind of trying to give it a little bit, like, be good on the wheel, but at the same time here, I'm just going really slow to wait up for Maria. So, on the next lap now, I've just let her back by. And you can see there's some serious Tokyo drifting going on the entries. But as I say, I was kind of just trying to show her. I don't know what I'm doing with my hand there. Maybe I had a wedgie or something. Oh, I think actually, yeah, I did get a few wedgies in the session. She's gone for the wet line, as you can see, through that second hairpin. But now I think it's a good time to start talking about the karts and the track and the ranking that I'm going to give it. So, oh, I love that one. That's my favourite one. That's the one that made me laugh loads. So, the karts, in terms of speed, honestly, they're not very fast. Like, they're not painfully slow, don't get me wrong. But for the track, like, you could do something a lot faster. The track is not really ideal. What's good is that it's outdoors. So, like, I have to give it bonus points for being outdoors. But in terms of, like, the variety of corners, there's basically 3 corners that are identical, more or less. I mean, ever so slightly different, but it's the same technique, isn't it? It's like, slow it down in a straight line, get it in, and then, like, get a good exit. And then there's a flat-out last corner, which doesn't really count as much for challenging corner. And these are in the fastest karts, by the way, because there's 2 options. So if it's not a corner in this, it's not going to be a corner in the other one. And the penultimate corner, which I'm going into now, this left-hander now, and you can see that's me taking it flat, and she's going through quite easily. Now, kart to kart, obviously, I'm only getting to drive 2 karts at each track, what I'm doing. You can see I'm a little bit bored on the straight. I'm kind of messing around with my hands. So that's all I've got to compare from. But I feel like it's still fair to give my ranking based on that, because it's my experience at the end of the day. And now, the one kart was definitely bent, the first one, because I was understeering so bad through the left-handers. And because the power isn't great on them either, for that, the kart ranking, I'm going to give 6 out of 10. As I say, they're a little bit more consistent than the ones at Camberslang, or however you say it, in Glasgow. Because there I got one that was really bent, if I recall correctly. And also they are a bit quicker, but they're not as fast as the ones in Larkhall. Now the track, I've given it a 7 out of 10. Maria goes for a little spin. Now the reason I'm giving the track a 7 out of 10, as I say, it's outdoors, so I've got to give it points for that, because that means it can be weather affected. So if it rains or anything, that's got to automatically just makes it way more fun, with a lot more variability. Now it looks like there's different layout options as well. this layout option is just not really the best, and it lacks variety in terms of the corners. But where then it gains a bit back is the length of the track, because it's such a long track for rental karting. That's why I'm not giving it like a 5. That's why it adds a couple points, just because of the length, which gives it a perceived like rate of speed. So 6 for the karts, 7 for the track. Now let's speak VFM, value for money, the most important part. Well, probably. Now I paid €38 for 20 minutes, which obviously, if you imagine, for both of the sessions, that's like €76, because obviously I paid for 2 people. So €38 for 20 minutes, and that's split up into 2 10-minute sessions. And that comes down to €1.90 per minute of track time, or in pounds sterling, if you're English like myself, that would be £1.60 sterling per minute. Now, if you compare that to Glasgow, Cambuslang, it's a little bit more expensive, where Glasgow was £1.54 versus the £1.60 here, but it's a little bit cheaper than Larcourt, which was £1.86 per minute, relative to £1.60 here. So, as I say, you know, like the price probably reflects the value. You'd think in a place like this, because it's Roquetas is like quite a touristy part of Almeria. So to be honest, it's probably cheap, because like not as many people are going on holiday to Glasgow, and therefore I think it's actually very reasonably priced. So I'm quite happy with that. But as I say, it's not exactly like the best karting experience I've ever had in my life. But I think there's going to be quite a lot of these. I plan on doing quite a lot more kart tracks. Now I'm going to Croma tomorrow, literally tomorrow, the day after recording this. This video goes up on Sunday, so I'll have already been at Croma. And then this weekend I'm going to Lanzarote to compete in one of their races. I was very kindly invited out there by Bruno. So I'll obviously be rating those 2 tracks. Croma I've done before, so I've got a rough idea of how I'm going to rate it. And we'll be doing some cool video ideas for it as well. But yeah, so that's kind of like the verdict there. And I guess I'll let you guys keep watching the rest of this. Basically, this whole second session, I was just kind of waiting up, trying to let Maria past. She would do like a weird half spin sort of deal. And then I would kind of like let her back past. I think this track, you know, with 20, 30 karts, and I believe they do driver coaching services, especially for kids. I think there's like a kids age group or like a specific session for kids where their driver coaches will come and coach the kids. And also I think they do leagues as well, where everyone can go run, or at least that's what the guy was telling me. So if you're into that sort of stuff, look it up on their website. It's all under Karting Almeria. I'm actually not sure, because there's Karting Gabo or Gobo, I think, or Copo, so like COPO. And now where that is in El Ejido, because then also that one's called El Ejido. That's another track. And then this one's Karting Roquetas, but it seems like it's the same owner. So then they're calling it all Karting Almeria. Anyway, very confusing. I don't get it. You don't get it. But there's 2 tracks is what you need to know. This one's this one's closer to the city, in like the more touristy town. And then El Ejido is, I've not been there myself, but the reputation it's got is not great. It's seen as a bit rough around the edges. So I would say probably this one's a nicer location, but then the other one, from what I've heard, is a better track. And actually, like, people who run road taxis and X30s and stuff go down there. So yeah, I actually think we get called in this lap now. So I hope you enjoyed watching. If you like these abroad karting videos, let me know, because more of them are coming, but I need to know if you guys want more or less. Also, start giving me ideas for what I could be doing at these karting tracks. Should I actually enter league nights for the crack, see what the people are like and the level of the drivers at each place, or what other things? Give me suggestions in the comments below of what you want to see from the future of this karting stuff, because I find this really fun, and I think it's a really good point where everyone can access rental karting. So I think everyone should be accessing it, because it's like the best way to access the sport cheaply. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you at the next one.